Hello, everyone. Welcome to the MRM podcast. Today, we're going to look at a very exciting topic from the ground up, making your dream home a reality. We're going to be looking at what you need to look at when you're building your home, the considerations you need to make, the approvals you need to seek, the role of different professionals, professional fees, something that most of us always ask about, associated costs, the budget, financing, customization, aesthetics for your home, and any other question that you may be having. Today we are joined by three professionals who will take us through this journey. With us, we have QS Mutinda Mtuku. He's sitting to my right. He's the director at BuildNet Consultants. This is a quantity surveying and project management firm. He holds a bachelor's degree in building economics from the University of Nairobi. He also has a postgraduate diploma in risk management from the Institute of Risk Management in London. He's a practicing quantity surveyor with over 19 years post-registration experience. That tells us that you're going to be having one of the best speaking to us this evening. Currently, he's the president of the Institute of Quantity Surveyors of Kenya, that is IQSK, and a director in the board of the National Construction Authority, NCA. Mutinda is an active member of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, London, with extensive experience, both as an arbitrator and an expert in construction dispute. During his free time, he likes to play golf. He's still learning. It's a process, but he'll figure it out. Welcome so much, Mr. Mutinda, and be comfortable as we take on this discussion. On my far left, I have Mr. Boniface Mutua. When we start this journey, it's never complete until the money bit is answered. By profession, he's a banker. Currently, he's the mortgage relationship manager at KCB. He has a bachelor's degree in economics and mathematics. He's a certified public accountant, and he has a master's in finance. Mr. Mutua has a master wealth of experience in the banking industry, developing across various roles, starting from customer service, credit administration, business banking, mortgage sales, which is very important today, property sales, and he's been a relationship for many mortgage holders. Mr. Mutua, welcome to our podcast. We look forward to learning so much on how we can finance our homes. Next to me, I have Mr. Emmanuel Mwambu. He's a representative directorate of registration and compliance. By profession, he's a civil and structural engineer. He works at the National Construction Authority, a very important body for whatever building that we want to get into. He has a bachelor's degree in civil and structural engineering, a master's in construction engineering and management, and he has a keen interest in material testing with a bias towards sustainable materials for construction. Welcome, and we look forward to gaining a lot from your wealth of experience.
Thank you very much.
Your host tonight, I'm Jane Dungo. I'm the head of external affairs for Mabati Rolling Mills, and we have the pleasure of hosting this podcast. So we'll jump straight to our topic today. I know many of our viewers are very keen to know, what do I need to know when I start my construction? A home is always a dream project. We don't want to make any mistakes. We don't want to run into costs that we cannot recover. We just want to be right in material, in time, in design, and all those things. So we'll just start with a very quick insight from our first panelist, QS Mutinda Mtuku. Insights as a professional. would like to know what are the most critical factors a homeowner like myself and other viewers online should consider when budgeting for their project. Just speak to us as a first-time learner. What is this that we should consider when planning and budgeting for a home? And remember, some of these homes are actually our retirement homes, so we don't want to make any mistake. What should we consider?
All right, thank you. The very first thing, do you have land? And that land is not just land, you have clean land. I may have a title, but is it clean land? Is it on a riparian? Is it land that you bought clean? That, because you mentioned is a retirement home, you don't want issues later. So have land, because land also speaks to the cost of your project. So when you have clean land, and then the rest that happens now is planning. You need to plan. Desk planning. Yeah. Before you go to the ground and start building, you're not building a cardboard house that you will pull apart the next day. So you need to plan. You need to look for the professionals. Take them to your land, let them plan for you. Take an architect and an engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And the very beginning, in fact, take a land surveyor. Ascertain the beacons of your land, the extent of your land. And then now get the designers, who is the architect, and the engineer, come look at your land, and then give them your brief.
Yeah.
And this brief will go back and forth. I tell you, I want retirement home. I probably want a maisonette, but I do not have to go up steps because I'll be old at some point. So you're thinking ahead. You're young now.
Yeah.
You'll be retired and old. You plan, and then they'll design. It has to be very interactive because it's your home.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they don't get it right, you back and forth.
Exactly.
Back and forth until they get what you want. Then in comes now the costing. Again on the desk, before you scratch ground, how much is this going to cost you? And that's where the QS, myself and others come in. Yeah, we'll tell you from those designs, this is how much it will cost you. And then you plan. Do you have the money? Do you need time to plan? Yes.
So that leads me to, you spoke about getting the professions on the table. I've heard of quantity surveyor. I've heard of an architect. Is there any that we have left out?
I think we've basically mentioned all. There's the architect, there's the civil structural engineer, there's mechanical and electrical engineers, there's the quantity surveyor.
Yeah.
And these days, since you're building a home, and it's not an industrial complex, it's not a multiple dwelling, you may not need an environmental impact assessment expert. But those should be able to do for you.
Okay.
Yes.
So there are certain essentials that we advise homeowners to look into. Some of them are issues to do with quality of materials, such as our MRM's roofing steel solutions when building a home. Apart from that, what else would you advise? And this goes to our gentleman here. From the National Construction Authority's perspective, what else should I look at? I've gone to Mabati Rolling Mills. I have gotten my good roofing sheets. I've gotten other accessories. What else should I look at if I need to have a quality home?
Thank you. There is a whole aspect on quality control for a construction, which is a continuous exercise as you execute the project, ranging from testing the quality of the concrete that you're using, which must have been specified by your engineer who designed the structural aspect of it. The steel that you're using within that construction site is also supposed to be subjected to some tests, and it must meet the specifications thereabout. It goes all the way to how are you mixing the components. That's the aspect of workmanship. How are they being mixed to work? Because if you are using a reinforced concrete structure, for example, it's a system, a combination of different materials, which must be mixed in the right proportions as specified by the engineer, the structural engineer. so that it functions as it's supposed to be. So that mixing aspect, the cleanliness, the quality of water that you're using, all those aspects, and even the skill of the persons that are going to do that work. All those are aspects of quality control that aid or lead to you having a safe and a quality house.
Just listening to you, it's already sounding very complicated. So where does one go? We have talked about the professionals on one hand, the electrical engineer, structural engineer, the architect, quantity surveyor. But when it comes to material testing, how do I go about it? I'm new. I've never done a home before. How do I go about it?
Actually, execution of a building or a house, so to speak, you as a developer, the only thing you have is money and land and the idea of what you want to do. The rest of the work is now the work of the professionals that you are bringing into your construction space. The engineer, it starts with the architect who will do the architectural design, hands it over to the engineer who does the structural bit and gives specifications of what they want to do. You have a quantity surveyor who is going to cost your project. And finally, you have a contractor who is supposed to be registered and regulated by NCA to execute your project. All these persons within the system of execution of that project, everyone knows their role and where to do what.
Okay.
Because you, as a developer, you don't know the specifications that the engineer will give, but the contractor will interpret the information, of course with the supervision of the engineer, what the engineer wants to be done, and how to ascertain that this quality of concrete is okay as per the tests. So it's the contractor in liaison with the engineer or your consulting team who will be able to guide where do we get these tests. There are labs, public, where we take materials to test, and some are within private. Some well-established contractors have got their own laboratories where they test materials. But of course, it has to be confirmed that the quality is okay by the engineer. So as a developer, you have very little work if you involve the right persons.
Thank you. Emmanuel says, as a developer, all I need is money. The professionals will do the rest of the thinking on my behalf. So when it comes to money, Mr. Boniface, we have the idea, but it needs to be executed. It needs money. And we always hear there are very few mortgages in this country, less than 20,000 or thereabout. So how do you help a new homeowner to start this project with almost no stress at all?
Thank you very much for that question. And one of the things we usually do in KCB, and that's pertain the construction. I think your question is focusing on construction of residential house. And one of the things we usually ask the customers is to give us the requirements which entails construction, because we want to be aligned to the government. And one of the things we usually request for them is the architectural, structural, and also the BQs, which will gauge us the amount of money the customer wants and the kind of a house he's constructing. And where I sit, we have a team which actually scrutinizes and checks to see whether the amount of the money which the customer wants to borrow is equivalent to the house this customer wants to purchase. Once we verify that the estimates are they're equitable to the kind of the units the customer wants to purchase, we will ask the person to bring us the certificates for professionals, because we want to see the people who are doing this house for you. They are people who are qualified, people who are mandated by the government of Kenya to do the job properly. So we usually ask profiles, certificate of registration of the engineer, the architect, and also the QS. They are very key. And most sometimes you also ask their testimony, what have you done before for the clients? And once we verify and we are sure that everything is in order, we'll also come and check on the ability of this customer. Is this customer able to repay this facility we are giving. Because it's very key. You might have all the approvals and every document with you, but you find that if we give you this facility, it might become a challenge to pay this facility. But once we verify that your ability is within, and mostly for the employed, we use a third, we call it a third rule, whereby individuals are supposed to remain with a third of their basic income or a third of gross if they are in private sector after the deductions. So once we verify that you have ability, what we do, the first thing is we appraise your application through the system, through the KCB system. And you have many branches all over the country, so it will not be a challenge. You will visit an KCB branch, and they will be able to appraise it for you. And once you get approval for construction, and these are something actually people don't understand. Sometimes they think if I borrowed 5 million, I'll be given all of it. We give money based on the project stages. We give you money for foundation, then structure, then roofing, then the finishes, maybe for maximum 4 times, 4 tranches. And once we appraise the facility, there are misconceptions, and I don't know whether you wanted me to talk about that, because sometimes customers will think in construction there will be no, and I will not pay anything. And I usually say they are what we call the internal cost and external cost. And when it comes to external cost, we are talking about things like stamp duty. If the land did belong to you, maybe if you had land, you don't need the stamp duty, but you'll need what we call charge on stamp duty. You have to pay a certain percentage to charge the property to the bank. And there are some products which will have a negotiation fee or appraisal fee, but not all of them. Because right now we are adapting the risk-based pricing model, whereby customers don't need to pay the negotiation fee or appraisal fee. Yeah. Everything is included as one, under one pricing. So once we verify everything is in order and the lawyers do their conveyancing thing and ensure that the property has been charged to the bank, we start now disbursing the money in tranches. Here we use your professionals. The QS will tell us, I need this money to complete this section. So they will give us a report. The bank will also give out a report. The customer's land is located in this place and they need this money to start the first phase. And we release the funds and the customer starts building. You have to know this. We don't release the money direct to the contractor. We will release the money direct to the borrower. That's a customer. It's a work of the customer now to manage the contractor. They might decide to have a fixed contract or what we call a labor contract. And I think you know the difference. Labor contract is whereby you buy material for yourself and the contractor will do the work. And most of the times, especially if you are not available, you are not within the reach, we usually advise the customers to use fixed contract because the contractor will fully be liable. Sometimes when customers buy materials for themselves, they might not get the quality one. But with the help of the contractor who are experienced, I believe they can get whatever they want. I don't know whether I've given you the
yes, that is
Thank you.
That is quite something for us to process. We have added another profession, who is the lawyer. Now we have more and more professions coming to the table.
Yes.
But I believe all these are to safeguard us from making a mistake.
Correct.
On this investment which you're about to make. Maybe coming back to you, QS Mutinda, there was an issue that he has mentioned, either a labor contract or a fixed contract. And sometimes we see we get into building and we have all these cost overruns. Sometimes we don't know what happened, what caused them. What can you advise a new homeowner? How to prevent them, or what do they need to look at? Because this is a real risk that has hit many a homeowner.
I think we just go back a bit and go to the issue of planning.
Okay.
I think planning is very key, and especially where you start off at the desk where I said, have the designs done, let's ask cost, because what the QS will do from that, and we're talking about cost overruns now, is what the QS will do. Using the designs, they will prepare what we call the bills of quantities. It's basically a very detailed document that breaks down the cost of that house to every smallest of parts. And through that, using the design, is that every situation is foreseen. You know, the design is just, for instance, for the roof, we'll have trusses. Will it be timber? Will it be lightweight steel? You know, stuff like that. So in the event that you're to change from, say, one material, let's say from timber to lightweight, then that is something you can even foresee at the design. Say, if I were to use timber as opposed to steel, what would be the cost differential? A few of the things that you cannot foresee is situations on the ground. Yeah? How will the ground be? And that could be, and that's why we always provide for a contingency yeah, in the BQ, so that the ground conditions when you dig down might be different. But a lot of the things can be sorted from the design, from the ground up. The design and planning will be able to sort that out and minimize the cost overruns. And then what we do is that in the BQ, we specify the materials. So if we tell you it is this material, we know the price for it. Yeah? We know the price for that material. There's chances that once we take it to the contractor to price, and I'm coming back to the issue of an all-in contract, all-in rates versus labor, what he mentioned, when we come back to that, then you'll be able to tell, I priced for this piece of material at this price, and this is what is specified, and that is what, as consultants watching out for you, we want to see on the ground put, right? If that changes, then someone is bearing the responsibility, and that's where we come to the issue of an all-in rate, where the contractor owns the cost. Yeah? We've agreed you're doing for me this floor or this roof at this price, and this is the specified material, that is what I want to see. If there are changes, then that's on you. Yeah? Of course, there are times when the contract period is too long, and then what we call price fluctuations come in, the changes of material prices. That can be dealt with within the contract. Okay. But a lot of things in terms of cost overruns are things that can be foreseen with proper planning and the use of consultants.
Okay.
Yes.
So it goes back to the first point,
Yes.
engaging professionals and proper planning. Yes. Now, I want to come back to Emmanuel. Most of the people have seen buildings coming up rapidly, and before long, it has crumbled. And as a homeowner, wanting to put maybe a townhouse with 2 floors, a risk like that is very possible. What really causes this kind of structure coming down? You've gone to the bank, you've gotten your money, you've gotten professionals, you believe they're professionals, but the building still comes down. What really causes that?
Believe you me, if you engaged the right persons, the right professionals, and everybody playing their role, your building can never come down. The cases that we've seen, of course, which are very much on the downward trend because of the interventions that as the national authority put in place, is caused by that negligence or the unwillingness of developers to do the right thing and engage the rightful persons. Everybody is looking at cutting on the costs, on saving some coins. And you know, you can't lie to a development. A building, you can't cheat it. You don't give it the rightful material, it will give you the right, it won't give you what you expected. So what majorly causes these buildings to come down is shortcuts in the construction process, a lack of engagement of the right professionals. We are, as an authority, we have capacity to regulate and punish a contractor who is not doing the right thing. Then you cheat us, you buy off a license from a contractor, then you decide to build for yourself. So within our systems, we record that there is a person, a contractor who can take responsibility for that project, but you have cheated the system, you have chased away the contractor. You have taken your fundi, your foreman whom you trust, amekujengea ushago, nyumba kadhaa zimesimama, then you come, you are changing. The engineer is strict that I have designed for D20. D20 is quite expensive. You want, your fundi tells you, nilisimamisha ile korofa ile na D12. Huyu anakuambia nini? And then because you want to believe and you want to get shortcuts, you follow what this fundi of yours is telling you. So you end up having a building that is not meeting the standards, is not supervised, and eventually unaeka watu ndani. And that's why we have those cases of collapsing.
Yeah.
So, but if you engage the right persons, an engineer who will, because all these are your employees and everybody of those consultants, by code of conduct that they have as professionals, they're interested to safeguard your investment as an investor or as a developer. So they will have your eye. They will insist that the design says we use this chuma, you have to use this. So eventually you have a very well functioning system, and you will not see that collapsing happening. As an authority, we have really enhanced surveillance to weed out these rogue persons. We have moved a notch higher to now we are even doing an aspect of quality control. Recently we launched labs, mobile laboratories, where we can follow you into your construction site and just do ad hoc tests to confirm from what the engineer specified and what you are building. And in fact, the investment by the authority in professionals who can really understand what is there, what is happening on the ground, and interpret the materials that, results that are there, has really helped to curb. And now all those who are not rightful persons in the field are running away. The rogue engineers are running away. Maintaining a database of professionals, and that's why you find a lot of excess in some places. Yeah. Probably you're having a construction site where you don't have the right professionals. Or you cheated us and we've come to the site and we find the supervision records are from a different person who is not listed within the database, who is supposed to take responsibility for that development. We will stop you and tell you as a developer you're doing a wrong thing. And if you insist, we shall arrest you and prosecute you and fine you. We are actually having so many of such cases going on. So that's why you are seeing the industry is now a bit steady. It's not as wavy, as murky as it was before. And the rate of collapses has really, really gone down.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Emmanuel. We can see the risk of not going to the right people, going to that person who I trust, but is not listed anywhere. Maybe coming back to you, QS Tinda. When we look around, sometimes you cannot tell who is the right person and who is the wrong person. Where would you advise new homeowners to go for these professionals? Because sometimes you can see, you may trust a person because you heard about them, but you don't know whether they are genuine. What should a new homeowner look out for, ask for, to know that they're dealing with the right people?
All these professionals, quant surveyors, engineers, architects, are all regulated by government and government boards. So they all have registration numbers. If you ask him, he has a number. I have a number. So ask for that number. Yeah, and even go to the websites and verify whether I am in good standing. Because what tends to happen is I may have been registered a long time ago and I've fallen out of practice. Because as a professional, it's a continuous journey, and that's why we have continuous professional development. We have training all year round, so that every year you get a new license for that particular year, so that you continue to educate yourself and remain alive to the new trends of construction and new practices, so that you're a modern professional and you're able to advise. So we all have numbers, we're all registered. So the moment you meet someone, one of us, ask, what is your registration number? And with that, there is us, the Institute of Quant Surveyors of Kenya. We can tell you who is a bona fide professional. The IEK can tell you, the Institute of Engineers of Kenya, the AEK, which is Architectural Association of Kenya, our board, which registers us, the Board of Registration of Architects and Quant Surveyors, EBK, the Board of Registration of Engineers, they will tell you. And because you're investing your hard-earned money, do not shy away from doing due diligence. And don't run away from professionals, because it's akin to you're protecting 1,000 shillings and exposing 1 million. I mean, where is the wisdom in that? Yes.
Good. I like that. We better protect their million from the get-go. We cannot save 1,000 and lose 1,000,000 shillings. So now we know their numbers, professionals are registered, we know where to go, engineers, architects, quantity surveyors, they all have their respective boards where we can go and find out, are they registered? Are they in good standing? Should we trust them? Should we not trust them? And that is a very good pointer to us. There is one thing that scares people who want to come to the banks to get a mortgage. What if my house is repossessed before I can even get into it? What can you advise new home owners? Because we still want to come to the bank. We still want your help. But how do we get that courage that this new home of mine is not going to be repossessed?
Okay. I want to say that from the bank level, once a customer, we want to lodge in customer, first of all, we usually make sure that we take our risk very well, and also we ensure that when we are praising the customer, we remove all the risk. One of the things we do is to ensure that even before we give you a mortgage, we are able to check on your ability. And as we check your ability, we make sure that we leave money which will be used for your own consumption. That's why we say we use a third rule. And for those who are in business, we say we leave you with 25% of your net profits every month to cater for the basic things in your family, because you might have a house and if you lack something to eat, it might be a challenge. So we don't want to take the full amount, then we leave you without money which you can consume. So one of the things we do, we make sure that we remove the risk of you not having the money for your basic commodities. Number two, when we give you this mortgage, and the other things we'll do, for example, you know you might borrow and later you find the land which you are using is not okay. Maybe somebody cheated you and the land is on a riparian land, or the land is not genuine, it's government land, but people change somehow. So one of the things we do before even we disburse the first funds, we use valuers. We have a list of them in our panels, who we usually ask you to get one of them to do valuation of that property. And one of the things we usually ensure that we check is to know that you are the real owner. The land is okay, it's not in government land, it's not in riparian land, and it's also not on wet areas, because you can be building in a place whereby maybe it's a near river. And sometimes we go ahead and we also maybe request for Walma to give their opinion on whatever you are building. So there are some things we go beyond what the customer thought we could, to ensure that whatever we are building for you is actually going to be yours forever. Now, there are challenges. Sometimes I know you can lose a job. There are challenges which come in. Maybe you have gotten a mortgage and you feel like bank will come and repossess it. Before we do it, things maybe you have not been able, maybe that's the last option. But for us to do, what we usually do is, in case you are unable to pay, first of all, if you are employed, we make sure that when you are getting this mortgage, you get relevant insurance. There's what we call mortgage protection insurance, which protects you against in case of death, so that the house is not processed by the bank. The loan is repaid, all of it, by the insurance. In that mortgage protection insurance, we have what we call retrenchment insurance, which covers you for a period of 9 months, so that within the period of 9 months, if you are retrenched, the insurance is supposed to pay the premiums from month 1 up to month 9 to make sure that at least you are able to get another job. You can do something else and maybe get the funds to continue paying the facility. We also have an insurance, also comprehensive insurance, in case natural calamities happens and maybe there's an earthquake, something happens and the house is destroyed. the insurance is supposed to take you back to the same position. So with those, you find we are reducing the chances of you not being able to pay the house because of maybe uncertainties which might come in the time you're having this mortgage. And in case you are unable, totally unable to pay this mortgage, what we usually do is sometimes we can request you to lend it out to somebody, and we do what we call restructure. We are very friendly. We restructure the facility. Maybe I had given you the facility for 10 years, but the repayment that you are making are very high. Maybe the interest changed. Maybe you got it at 12%, and right now the interest has gone to 20%. Yeah. So you find we can talk and do restructuring for that facility, maybe for a longer period, which will be is going to be comfortable for you. Yeah. But right now, there are good news. We have the affordable mortgage, which the rate is fixed at 9.5%. In collaboration with KMRC, that is Kenya Mortgage Finance Company, we have been able to give interest rate to residential clients who want to own their first home, they want to build their first home, they want to buy their first home. And with an interest rate which is not changing, you can imagine at 9.5, it's not going to change. You find it's going, you can plan for this facility, you pay without any challenge. And maximum for this facility is 10.5. Though for those who are building houses which are more expensive than 10.5, we can only give them what we call hybrid. We give them part of it under affordable housing, and the part of it, like let's say 15 million, we give you 10.5 under affordable mortgage, then 4.5 under market terms. But also we encourage customers, anytime they borrow and they own a home, if maybe somebody borrows when he is single and maybe he got a house and may get married, we request them they can start paying more than what they are paying. Because what happens the moment you deposit more funds in your mortgage account, we don't charge interest on that amount. What we do is it reduces on your principal repayment. And in such case, you pay fast.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Boniface. I think that is one confirmation we are getting from our professional banker, that we can borrow money, but there are safeguards that have been put in place to ensure that I'll continue to pay. I'll not sleep hungry. If it is a business I'm running, it will not close down. And if I face any calamities, I can still take insurance against my mortgage.
Correct.
Thank you very much. I think now we can open up to the people online. They must be having some questions which we can address and direct to our panelists. And we are open now to receive questions from online. And in the absence of a question, then I think we can still come back to QS Mutinda. We have tackled the issue of sustainability many times, whether it's in the way we build or the materials that we use. And this is a good moment to advise homeowners. Do we do the traditional homes that we have seen from our parents and our grandparents, or is there a new way of building sustainably that you could advise us? Over to you, QS Mutinda.
Sustainability is what is currently a buzzword for the last few years. Yeah. But just to tie it up with something, now that we are building, for example, where we started a retirement home, a house that will last over your lifetime and beyond, is the issue of, and it's tied to sustainability, issue of life cycle costs of a house. You may choose materials that appear cheaper now, at the moment, but in the long run, what is the cost? That soon after, 5 years, you start repairs on your house because you chose what was cheap, and they do say that cheap is expensive, is that you chose what was cheap now, lower quality materials that gave you a house and put a roof over your head. Yeah. But you don't look forward to ahead, what happens in the future. And 2, 3 years, 4, 5 years, you start now doing repairs on your house. So we advise as professionals is strike a balance, yeah, on your pocket, but build the materials that are more sustainable, materials that will last you longer, yeah. And in sustainability, you also want to look at other aspects. Is that sustainability is also inbuilt, other than the materials, it's also inbuilt in the design, yeah. Am I building a house in northeastern? Is it too hot? Then what sort of materials do I need? Yeah. For instance, if it's the roof, does it need to be insulated? Is it a very cold place? Do I need insulations on the walls? Have I created enough aeration, cross ventilation, for natural ventilation for my house? Have I positioned my house in such a way that I am not hit so directly and so much by the sun, by the sunlight? Yeah. Those sort of things. Is my roofing materials, am I able to even harvest rainwater, water that I can drink and use for something else?
Yeah.
So all these are considerations that you do. Remember I said planning at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. So there we have it. We can look at sustainability from the materials. At MRM, we always say steel is the most recyclable material. But now we can see other considerations. Is it sunshine coming through, aeration coming through, that homeowners need to put in place. Now, as we draw close, would like to just have a recap from each one of us. A few things that would like to leave a lasting impression to the people who are listening to us today. One thing that I've taken away is that building my retirement home is a very important aspect, a very important decision. I should look at the quality of materials so that I don't build with fading roofing sheets, or I don't build with a lower gauge than is used for construction. But from your submissions, you can just give our viewers a few things that you'd like them to take home tonight. Starting with QS Mutinda.
Mine is to debunk a theory. And I've seen it in social media where people have gone to say rural homes are not investments. Yeah. And people have been told, you live in Nairobi, but you've built a house in upcountry where you go, I don't know, twice a year. Not everything in this life is supposed to make you money. There are other benefits. There's a feel-good factor that Christmas is coming. And I'm going to that house of mine that I built, and I will sleep peacefully. Yeah. It doesn't have to generate you rent. But that time you go there, the amount of peace and comfort that you get, the satisfaction that you get, is what will bring out in you the energy to come back in the new year and work some more. Not every investment we make in housing must result, and I know it's an economic argument, it can go both ways, that everything we do must have returns, it must be able to generate income. But I am a proponent of, we are Kenyans, okay, we are Africans, we are Kenyans, we love to have rural homes. If you want to have a home at where you come from, build a nice home. In fact, that 2 times, 3 times a year, you find that the frequency might increase because you have a comfortable place, almost as comfortable as what you have in Nairobi. So build a good place where you go and enjoy for the time that you're there. Exactly. Enjoy yourself. Source for good materials. Yeah? That even as you walk and you say, that is my home. Yes. Not necessarily to give you income. Not everything is meant to give you income. There's other levels of benefit that are beyond money and income.
Awesome, awesome. We are hearing that let us build for peace of mind, for pride. Just looking at that roof and saying, this is my home. I built it and I love it. Actually, at MRM, we say we are building Africa with pride. So that as you sit in your home, you can say, I did this, I committed my resources and my time, and now I have a home that I'm very proud of. What did you tell us about our first time experience?
A home is where your heart is. don't get your heart in a troubled place. Start by getting it right from the word go. Follow the right procedures. Follow the law. Obtain your requisite approvals from all relevant agencies, the county government, NEMA if possible, NCA, and all that. Incorporate and use the right professionals so that when you are having a roof over your head, you know that you are in a sound place and there is no risk for anything. So that all those hearts that are coming to that home are happy. So get it right from the onset, do proper planning, execute it well the way it's supposed to be, and the rest will be fun and happiness.
Exactly.
A home is where your heart is and should be.
Home is where my heart is. A home is where our viewers' hearts are.
Thank you very much. And what I can say is we should remove the fear of borrowing to own a home and be brave enough to come and own that home. Because if you continue paying rent, after 20 years, that house will never be yours. But if you pay for a mortgage for 20 years, regardless of what, that house is yours. And in case you decide to sell, you will never sell at the price you used to buy, to build or to buy the unit at. So what I can just encourage the viewers is to make sure that we build our homes here in Nairobi. Maybe you have a plot and you want it to be developed. Approach us and we'll be more than ready to support you, specifically with the affordable mortgages. I wanted to be at least clear. When we talk about affordable mortgage, this is conjunction with KMRC to give the solution to Kenyans to buy those houses. And I think when you buy that home, your children will feel at home. But when you are renting, they know they are strangers in rental units. So you have the land, you build, and maybe you reach a certain level and you are unable to complete that house, we'll be more than ready to offer the solution to make sure that you complete that unit and repay pole pole for a period of 25 years, depending on your retirement. We give you a flexible period to make sure that you own that home, and I believe you will thank us tomorrow. Thank you very much. Asante.
Thank you. Even as we are closing, we know we have some questions that are now streaming in, and we want to give opportunity for those questions to be responded to. It could go to either of the panelists, and we'll start with the first one. So we have our first question coming from Victor Tonui. What are some of the new materials or methods we can use to build homes that are both affordable and environmentally friendly? I think some of that has already been answered, but I can still give QS Mutinda that question. And there's another question from Dorothy Waeni. She's asking, can one do mortgage for rural homes? What's the least amount one can be deducted for a nice home? Again, from Dorothy, she says, I hear you have different types of iron sheets, rejects as well. How can one differentiate between the two? And I think that is for us as Mabati Rolling Mills to take that one up. Collins Mutai, credits to KCB for home ownership, making home ownership easy with flexible repayments. I guess that is kudos to you. Someone online by the name of Collins Mutai has given thumbs up to KCB. So I will just go back to QS Mutinda. I know you have already addressed the issue of environmentally friendly through the question on sustainability. And you've also talked a bit about affordability. But for the sake of Victor Tonui, you could just recap that in a very brief way.
Okay. The area around building materials has really grown over the years, and there's a lot of variety of materials. different types. If you go to the roof, there's a lot. This is what MRM produces, other producers imported. For Tunui, and again, this depends on where you're building. Yeah. For instance, if you're building, let's say in the western part of Kenya, where they have shortage of building blocks, stones, the traditional stabilized soil blocks, in fact, before they were done, people will just lay them, they dry, and you build. I think we've been socialized to think where we came from in a lot of aspects. It was not the right place. But a lot of the materials that was used in construction back then, even earth itself, the stabilized earth blocks, when you go to some of the modern, very modern European cities, they build with stabilized earth blocks. And that means in the rural setting where you do not have access to, let's say, Ndarugo stone and Nara stones, those are very good materials to build from because you have earth all over and you have water. You just nowadays you just need to the mix with cement, make some nice long-lasting blocks that will suit you, and the cost will be lower from where you are. In terms of say items like roofing materials, the variety is huge, and the gauges are there. And you go to this material, they will be able to find something that fits within your budget and a good material that will last you a good lifetime. So I think to answer Tonu in a very short way is that the area around building materials has really grown, but also look around your environment. It doesn't mean that a building that is built out of stone blocks is any better than a building that is made of stabilized soil blocks.
Okay. So look around your environment, see what is available, what is affordable, what is stable,
Yes.
and you can consider it for your construction. Thank you very much. So we have one last question on the mortgage before I go to the iron sheets one. Can one do mortgage for rural homes? What's the least amount one can be deducted for a nice home? In a very brief way.
Thank you very much for that question. And I want to say KCB spread over all over the country. And rural areas differs from one place to the other. But what I usually insist so much is the property should be within municipality. Somewhere where if you want to sell that property, you can sell to somebody else. But we try to avoid the ancestral land, whereby the land is chung and it belongs to the community. We might not be able to dwell in those areas. But if it's within municipality, near major towns, along the main roads, we are able to finance that. Because by the end of the day, as a bank, we take that property as a security. And we want to have a security which we know we can dispose anytime we want. And also you as an individual, in case you are unable to pay and you want to dispose it, it will not be a challenge on your side. But generally we support all the regions around the country. We are able to ensure that we support construction in those areas, because right now, as we talk with the emergency of county governments, the demand of the houses are actually in plenty. Sometimes what might happen is if the place is a bit interior, we play with something called LTV, loan to value ratio of that area. We'll see what percentage are we going to give you. But with KMRC right now, almost in the major counties, we are giving up to 105%. We are financing the cost of the property you are constructing plus the external and the internal cost, which are accumulated because of you doing that unit. There's the next question which you talked about. What is the minimum mortgage a person can get? From where sit, we can give as low as 500,000 in terms of mortgage, and we give it a maximum of 25 years or shorter period, because I usually advise people, mortgage will give you an easy way of payment. It's cheaper because we spread the repayments for a long period of time, let's say 25 years. But what we advise them, the shorter the period, you might be paying a lot of money, but you reduce on the interest which you are supposed to pay to the bank. And that's why we say we'll spread it for 25 years, but we'll advise you to pay. If you get extra money, you can come and reduce your facilities. But yes, as low as 500,000 will be able to give you that mortgage, because you can imagine you have a plot and you want to start building a bed sitter or 1 bedroom. And we always say, right now we want to introduce a new product which I believe Kenyans might be interested in. We talk about incremental mortgage, which will make you start small. With years, as money come to your pocket, you are able to advance your house and build that big bungalow you wanted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think that gives a lot of comfort to a lot of our listeners because they always think maybe I need to have this big piece of land, I need to have so much money, but you can see there's an option for incremental financing. We have one interesting question for QS Mutinda. Victor Tonui, he's asking, is 3D printing a home viable solution in Kenya, and is it cost effective? I know our time is running out, but let me give you this and we'll take that as our last question for tonight. QS Mutinda, 3D printing.
Yes, 3D printing. Like I said, just like there's been growth in material, construction materials, there's also growth in building technology methods, and 3D printing is one of them. But 3D, yes, it will be cheaper, but in mass production. Mass production of houses. So if you have to build 1 unit, then it may not.
Okay.
Yes, because the investment to do it is heavy.
Yeah.
So it needs to be on produce houses in mass.
Okay.
Yes, and it's quicker.
Yeah.
So again, it saves on the cost in terms of time spent.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I hear from you is that for a single unit, it may not be
It's
cost
not
effective.
No, it's not.
But if you have many, many units,
Yes.
then you can consider it.
Yes.
I hope that satisfied Victor Tonui for bringing that up. One last question that was asked on the different types of iron sheets. And there was also a question of rejects. What we advise is that for any production, you'll always have a very small percentage of non-prime material. But we always advise homeowners and any other project owners, please go for the prime materials. Depending on the type of building you're having, you could go for 30 gauge, 28 gauge, 26 gauge, depending on what you're building. What we call rejects may not be material that is usable for your home. It can be for other things, like a kitchen shed or cladding in the mjengles. So we do not advise that it be used for building your prime home, your dream home, as we have been discussing today. So I hope that answers on the different types of iron sheets. And of course, the look and feel of iron sheets also differ. We have lifestyle, which is a stone-coated material. We have box profile. We have versatile, which we can give you according to the taste that you are looking for, and also according to the budget that you have put in place for your affordable home. And talking about peace of mind, at MRM, we also give you a warranty for the product that you buy, so that at the end of it all, should you have any query, then you have a confirmation document that tells you you can come back and just counter-check with us. Some of the products even get up to 50 years of warranty. And we talked that once you build a home, it's a lifetime investment. You don't want to go back to it. So we'll give you a warranty so that you are safe in your mind that you have bought the best, and in case of any query, you can still come back. So I want to close by thanking each of our panelists. QS Mutinda, thank you very much for making time to be with us.
Thank you.
Emmanuel from National Construction Authority, thank you very much for making time to be with us. Boniface, we've learned a lot. The fear is gone. We shall come and get some money so that we can build. And to all our viewers, wherever you are, we want to thank you very much for taking your time to be with us for this period, to learn more about your dream home, to learn more about what do you need to consider when you're putting up your dream house. This has been our first podcast addressing the issue of, from the ground up, making your dream home a reality. Join us next time as we go through our second series, giving you more information and more comfort so that you can take this decision, which is a life-changing decision. Thank you very much.